It still won't be recorded. That's fine. I don't want to record it. Show who you are. Good riddance. Is you kidding? Bid the forbidden. As it was written, you overbidding. With the heathens, karma is a bitch, so how you living? Pray for my enemies, unforgiving. Cast the pearls on hog moms and chitlin'. If it's too hot, get your ass out the kitchen. Finger licking good, good looking. Stewing in the stew, I'm cooking. You psyched out, paranoid and shookin'. Shook the table, babes, I'm booking. Get prepared for this ass whooping. Listen to the words being spoken. You were talking, I'm awake and woken. While I'm spitting this, got your spit, got choking. Era up, a glimpse in my world, eyes shut open. Parallel in my mind, I'm chosen. Reverse the time, heart frozen. Antarctica, cold as ice. Casting locks, rolling dice. Mean as nails, I'm nothing nice. They persecuted me like they rejected Christ. Hey everybody, welcome to another Mouth Off with Meika. Today I will be interviewing the legendary T. Lachey. If you didn't catch shooting the shit yesterday, she was out shooting the shit, dropping them jewels on us. She's coming to talk about internal healing and how to take accountability. Welcome to Mouth Off with Meika and T. Lachey, and give us a little background about yourself and let us know how you came into being a certified life coach and go from there. Thank you.
I well, I've always been that person for some reason. Well, I won't say for some reason. God makes no mistakes. Um, from kids to young men and women would come to me for advice, and I have a heart to help. I love to help people, so I would make time for them. Some of them needed a place to stay, somewhere to just be for whatever home life was. And going through my life, I have, 7 children of my own. And so, as going through a bunch of abuse, rape, things, and trauma in my own life, as I started to get into position of determining where I was in my own way, a lot of times that's the accountability we don't take. This person did this to me, that person did that. They cheated on me, they hit me, they this, they that. And not to discredit it, to say that they didn't hurt you, but there's a reason why we put ourselves continuously in that line of fire, and we take us everywhere we go. So, in my due diligence to myself, that was the question I asked, was what am I doing wrong? And so from that journey on forward, it led me to want to become a life coach, to specifically, more so or less, speak on brokenness. It's not something that a lot of people call out head on. They do address it. I'm not going to say they don't, but to not offend or not, you know, discredit how people feel or their beliefs. But it is more so our problem than anybody else's.
Right, right, right. So, how do we deal with the brokenness?
Well, no matter who you believe in, I believe that there should be an idol. Um, because in this world, we have to be led by something. And so once you're in position with your belief of your higher power, whom and whichever one that may be, it is at that moment where you look around, and I call this the analysis of people. The people that are in my circle, whether family or friends, who is not beneficial to me. And when I say beneficial, not for a gain of any sort, but who has me. You know what I mean? It's just like, who do you know supports you? Who can you count on to be that moral support, to be that guiding light in your life? So if you have people around you that are not beneficial to you, to your health and well being, mentally and emotionally, they got to go. And so once that went through, I analyzed me. I went within me. What do I like about people? What is it about these men where I went? What is it that I want in life? It was just many different questions that I had to be honest with myself about. I didn't blame the people who hurt me. Hurt people hurt people. I forgave them actually. And it was just from that point on, one day at a time in the right direction. And when I say in the right direction, I'm mindful, of who I let in my path. I do control my life. I control who I let in, who I keep out, where I go, what I listen to. And so it's with that putting one foot in front of the other to treat people the way I want to be treated. Because more times than not, we don't realize that we treat people according to the way we feel about them.
Hmm.
Um, everybody they say in the family has that one person. You know what I mean? And they treat them like, okay, whatever. Yeah, but there's somebody too. And just because they may not be all well put together, don't mean we treat them any less. But people do it in relationships. Once they get tired of her or tired of him, it's like, ugh, now you want to just treat them any kind of way. And instead of moving on, it's, that holding on. But if you treated someone the way you wanted to be treated, if you wouldn't want anyone holding on to you, holding you back in your life, let them go. Because if you truly love someone, you will let them go. You don't try to hold on, you let go. And so once I went within me, I started to analyze. And through that analyzing, I started to love me, knowing that it's okay. I made mistakes, not perfect.
Hmm.
And I started to love me. And once we start to love who we are, embracing the fact that we made mistakes, but nobody's perfect, I get to hit the reset button. I
Hmm.
get to try this all over again in a better light as a better person,
Hmm.
knowing that loving me is where it starts, my happiness. And that's the caress to the healing because I know we've all heard time heals all wounds.
Hmm.
It does and it doesn't because, well, I'm not going to say it doesn't, but it's how it heals. It's almost like a big, deep scar from being cut or shot. If you just let that scar go, you don't put any cream on it or ointment or whatever you believe that will help scars to heal and give it love, it can heal in a way that may be disfigured or what some people call ugly. It didn't heal right. But if you nurture it, caress it, put something on it, it has the tendency to heal till its best version. And that's what we have to do to ourselves because if you just sit around and think, oh, well, in another year or so, I won't even, I'll be all right. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That's not healing. It's actually just pushing it into your soul. You take it from your conscious mind and sit it in your subconscious, which then falls into the soul. And the more you push back and go down, now you're filled with a bunch of stuff that you're going to let go on somebody.
Mm. So how do we get to healing? Like, what steps should we take to heal? I mean, I know you said to separate ourselves
Mhm,
from the negative people, right? The people
mhm,
that's not. It could be people too, like because when you were saying that, it could be like pseudo people,
mhm.
people that pretend to have your best interest in heart, and they act like they care about you, but then in reality, they're just there to sabotage.
But we know what that looks like. We
Not
really do.
Not everybody, not everybody, because they be like, "Oops, oops, that was an accident. Oops," you know what I mean? And
I
some people,
think.
go ahead.
Uh, I think we really know. I've had that kind of experience, and in the back of my mind, I knew. But in that part of my life, I didn't care. That was the difference. I
Mm,
knew, I just didn't care. But people really know because the one thing that everybody can do is tell you what love isn't. Even those who aren't really showing love to anyone else, they
mm,
can tell you what love isn't. You're lying to me, you don't love me. If you're cheating on me, you don't love me. If you're putting your hands on me, you don't love me. So everybody can pretty much tell you in their own definition of what love isn't. So
Mm,
if we know that, I
mm,
think in all honesty, people know when they have a ram in the bush.
mm.
They
Right
really do.
in the
It's
bush.
just
I ain't never
about
heard
whether they want to truly be honest with themselves, because for what it's worth, I think there's a love of this world. And as a my believer, Jesus Christ, I believe there's a type of love that comes from that. So when I see what the love of the world brings me, I know that's not love, because I know what his love is. So,
that.
but for anybody else, whatever love means to them, when they're not getting it, they can still say, you don't love me. So I really believe that a person knows who really has their back or not, because it was going to be shown. A person can make their mouth say anything, but
Mm,
actions will tell the truth when it's in alignment. So I think that for anybody who would call someone their friend, or they're closer with their siblings or their cousins, like brother and sister or best friends, there has come a time when they have shown you
mm,
that they weren't really all that they were saying.
mm, mm. Interesting.
Yeah, because people can only show you who they are. They can't tell you. I mean,
Mm,
they try, but again, you can make the mouth say anything.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Definitely. And so when it is a family member, and you have to be around them, of course, when you have like family gatherings and stuff. How do you deal with that? Do you remain cordial, or um
Yes, it's just honestly, it's just hello. You don't have to speak. If things are that bad, you don't
mhm,
have to speak. You don't. You just won't argue. You that's the way you keep the peace. You
mm,
just don't. You mingle with everybody else. Don't try to shy away from them, make it awkward. Stand bold in who you are, because you have the right to choose who's in your life and who isn't.
yeah, right, right, right. So tell us more about like the internal healing, and what accountability that we need to take on the road to internal healing.
Um, I guess it wouldn't matter what the pain or what the trauma is, but the first thing of analyzing, like I said, when we go within for us,
Mm,
it is seeing what went on. Okay, this is what happened. How did I feel when that happened? And I'm literally saying this is what we do to everything within us, because we don't have a separate life. We just have aspects, but it's one life altogether. And so within that, you look at yourself, you know, how do I move? What is my attitude? Why am I this way? Or what? But this is only if you feel or know and
mm,
believe that you are a part of your own problem.
mm,
Because if you're making the choices of your own life and no one's forcing you, and yet your life isn't going the way you think, people aren't treating you the way you think they should, then I would say, yes, you are a part of your own problem, but it's not a bad thing,
mm,
because as humans, we make mistakes. It
mm,
is what it is. And so, anyways, while you're within and whoever you believe in, they have chanting if that's what you need to do. You do that to connect with your inner peace. Find who you are, know who you are, learn to love you, and that it's okay if people don't like you. You might like this man of this certain type, and he may not like you, but that's okay. He's not for you.
mhm,
It's learning to love you. And when you can love you, it doesn't matter who wants you or not, because there's somebody for everybody.
mhm,
And that healing takes place with that focus on you. And, once you've analyzed everything, know where you want to go now. So, where do I want to go in life?
mhm,
What kind of person do I want to be?
mhm,
And that's just where your determination, your drive, your focus, your commitment is to you and your goal.
mhm,
But happiness is something that comes from within. No one can make you happy. They might can satisfy your need, but that's not happiness. We have a lot of people out here. I like to be taken care of. I like for him to do this or her to do this. But if that's removed, you're no longer happy. Then they never made you happy. But what they were doing for you was sustaining your happiness out of need.
Mhm.
So, but
Hello.
healing is just, yes.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That self healing is just getting to know who you are,
Mm.
taking the time to love you, know where you're going, know what you want in life, and just love you.
Right. 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 Um, is that like similar to when they say you gotta find yourself?
Yes, it is. It's very similar because what it is that from some experiences of talking to some people
Mhm.
who have grown up with a mindset of brokenness, is that the way they interpret people, trauma, and things that happen in life is black and white for them. It is just this way. You can't say anything other. It is this way. Already that's a problem because if you're not open minded enough to think that you might be a part of your own problem, you really are stunning your own growth mentally because you can't expand. And anytime you can change your mindset, you can change your life. So to stay in black and white is not going to help you.
Mhm.
But yet they're the ones who don't understand why they feel like no one loves them the way they want to be loved
Mhm.
because it's just not the way it works. You know what I mean? It Love only loves love. It loves love.
Mhm.
When you show someone true genuine love,
Mhm.
it loves you back. So you can't kind of make up what you think love is, and then when you get that back, you think that's not what I gave out, but it is.
Right. Right.
So, it takes some educating yourself to you. And this is why this can apply to anyone. But in order for them to understand it to its fullness, they have to educate themselves on who they are. A lot of times when we're teenagers and we jump into relationships, the fact that we don't know anything about what it takes, we don't know who we are. We're rolling with the punches, you
Mhm.
know. So let's say Mary's 16, she has a crush on this boy, he's 16. Um, they both had sex already. So now they go into this, they're dating, they go into a relationship. He's kind of a little wild, he wants to be here, there, and everywhere. She likes him so much that she's just going along for the ride.
Mhm.
And she will continue to do this because she just likes being in his presence. She loves being around him. He makes her laugh. And for whatever he gives her, she thinks that that's love. He loves me. But somewhere along the line, when they break up and she
Mhm.
goes into another relationship,
Mhm.
because she never knew who she was and she adapted to him, some of that is going into that relationship as well.
Right.
But because there is a piece of her still in her, she has her too. But without the chance and opportunity to know who you are, to to know your self-respect, your self-worth, your self-value, it's going to take her a long time to really dig in because she'll go from one to another if she doesn't realize that they keep failing and they're failing for a reason. So when they say find yourself, that's let me dig past me who I was with Larry. Let me dig past who I was with James. Let me dig past because somewhere underneath is a true you.
Mhm.
Who are you? Did you really ever like going hiking? Did you really ever like doing this or that?
Mhm.
Who are you? A lot of times when you're young, you roll with the punches because you haven't lived long enough yet.
Right.
So it's kind of like I don't. I'm in the moment. I'm in the moment, and but being in the moment can continue to carry you from
Mhm.
one moment with someone to another moment with someone, and it's out there more times than not. It's just hard finding a lot of honest people to say, hey, that was me. I didn't get it. Being human. To help someone is to have what I was telling you about before, shared honesty.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you want to help someone genuinely, have shared honesty. Because in order for you to help them,
Mm-hmm.
it's that reciprocity that's there. Here's my shared honesty, and now I want you to share back.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only way you can truly help someone. If someone feels like you're just trying to tell them what to do, or you're trying to criticize them, and they're not going to want to open up.
No, no, no.
So it takes a piece of you to be vulnerable to work with them for shared honesty to get to the core of the issue.
What does that look like? Being vulnerable to get to the shared honesty.
It's almost like, when we talk to our children and we pull them aside and it's, hey, can we talk a minute? It's not being joking. It's not cutting through slices of, oh, well, I'm just asking you, is there any, it's knowing how to be clear.
Mm-hmm.
It's knowing how to get to exactly what it is with knowing it is okay. This is a safe space. I'm
Mm-hmm.
here because I care. I'm here because I want to help you. But
Mm-hmm.
that starts at a young age. And like I said, with me having girls, I told them age appropriate times. I am here if you need me, whenever you are ready. There
Mm-hmm.
is nothing that you should be able to go out of this house to find and ask anybody. That's what I'm here for, no matter what it is. So, the sex questions came, the boy questions came. But by me also having come up in the street, they got a lot more of the street knowledge
Mm-hmm.
than they did of that emotional knowledge. But hey, you grow, you know what I'm saying? But
Mm-hmm.
it all got corrected. But it's just the point that in that moment, I wasn't in my fullness of that vulnerability because I came up in the street. So what I gave them was the real based on what street life is going to come to you with.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to come back and say, as a parent and as a mother,
Mm-hmm.
this is where we are. This is where I am.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like everything starts at home first. But
Right.
I've always been a single parent. So um, that's why I say there are challenges. We grow with the, well, some of us do, unfortunately, some don't. you know,
That's so true.
but it,
That's so true. Because I know some 50-year-olds that still need to grow.
yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
um, when dealing with children in their adolescence, and you do have to have the talk. Because with me, with my children, when I had to have those talks, I went to the science book and I showed them the organ, the female reproductive organ, the male reproductive organ, and the functionality of it, right? And I
Mhm.
think I missed the part because I lack emotion a lot. Like I hide my emotions. So what you were saying, like I don't think I gave them the love, the emotion, that part of the teaching.
Mhm.
How, like, talk to me as if you were talking to your girls. How would you tell me about the so-called birds and the bees?
Well, first of all, it depends on how old you are. Because again, I did it at what I felt was age appropriate, which for my oldest, she was 10 when she actually got her cycle. So
Mm,
at 10 years old, we sit and we have this talk.
mm,
Um, Again, in that moment, I was so kind of streetwise minded that I spoke so straightforward. Okay, so it's like not exactly in these words, but I know it was somewhere along the lines that we are women. Women have periods. Once you have your period, you are able to get pregnant. What having sex is that a man has a male part, a woman has a female part. These parts are penis and vagina.
Mm.
The penis is inserted into the vagina. There's semen that comes out of it, hits an egg, and gets you pregnant. That was our basic.
Mm.
But so it went that part of how kids are created. But
Mm.
once she hit about 12,
Mm.
we then went back and we went in a little bit deeper because at that point she's in middle school. She's seeing boys, she's thinking it's cute, and boys are liking her. So now it's a different level
Mm.
where it's okay, you might get told this, but I'm telling you, you're beautiful. You don't need to go out here and hear that and think that because he told you you're beautiful, you owe him something. I tell you that. I validate you right here. So, you know, that was the first and foremost
Mm.
because I don't want you verbally swindled out of anything, you know.
Mm.
But that was just, like I said, me and my rough back then. Because I was 18 when I had my first child. So
How would you tell me now, though? What would you do different?
I think my atonement would be better because, like I said, I carried such a straightforward voice
Mm.
back, in that time because I was a person filled with anger and pain. So
Mm.
when I spoke with this authority,
Mm.
like this is real, you know.
Mm.
So I think my words weren't wrong, my tone and my angle a little bit because it was so straightforward
Mm.
that I don't think I took into accountability her mindset.
Mm.
And so she got what I was saying, but she also didn't know how to grasp a hold of it because of the way I said it.
Mm.
It was almost, well, is it okay for me to like somebody or is it not? Like, um, what do I say if I get a compliment? Do I just keep walking? Do I say thank you? Or, it kind of confused it because I was so strong with it and so straightforward.
Mm.
So at this moment, if I had to explain it, I'd do it the same, just with a better tone and a better angle of knowing correctly where to come from.
Mm.
But I think that all children at age appropriate times should understand what's going on because the world has now become so advanced with technology. What you don't tell them, somebody else is going to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I when I was previously married or whatever, and he had three children that was older than my daughter at the time, and one of them was the first child that I put in school, and she was about 4. Put her in pre-K, and she came back home saying that some boy wanted to do some things to her. Little 4-year-old is telling her this.
Mm.
I lost my shit. I did not know what to do. I'm like, how do I deal with this? What is going on? Am I living in the Twilight Zone? And so
Right.
when you say age appropriate, does that mean like when
Hmm.
the situation comes to you, you deal with it as it comes?
No, I wouldn't explain the birds and the bees to a 4-year-old. I wouldn't, like I said, she was 10. She started her cycle. So once puberty hits, she's now going to be dealing with hormones.
Mm. But
And so
some children start their cycle like at 8, really
then
young.
I would say that's age appropriate because what her body's going to go through changes mentally, emotionally, and physically. So
Mm.
she's going to want to understand what that is.
Mm.
But, all back to what I was saying that at young ages, when we teach kids, if anybody touches you here, there, that is wrong. No one
Right.
is supposed to touch you here. If a boy hits you, you are to hit him back.
Mm.
This is where we are teaching them to love themselves, protect themselves. We don't necessarily have to entertain. every word a child says, to tell them, well, if somebody teases you, tease them back. We don't have to do that. That strongness of telling them, ignore it,
Mm-hmm.
because that teaches discipline.
Okay. So now, say they ignore it and the person keeps doing it and taking it too far, then what?
Okay, well, I had a rule for my kids. When you're in school, if someone hits you, tell the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
If they hit you again, go tell the teacher, because at that point she's now going to know, or he, whatever the teacher is, will know that whatever they said or did not work. They hit you again, I want you to make a home run, you hear me? And I got you. That was my rule for my kids,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not going to teach you how to be a doormat. I'm not going to teach you how to be picked on and bullied. I'm going to teach you how to know that you can have a chance to walk away from something. But being that this is in a classroom where a teacher is around, or maybe in the gym, the cafeteria where teachers are, you don't have to, because schools, they don't teach violence. And we're not teaching that either, but we're not going to condone being hit on. So if we're following rules, they will follow my rule. And I literally had went to one of my daughter's school at the time and told that to the principal. That's my rule. And that's the rule I want my children to follow.
Hold on, my children just walked in, but I
Hmm.
did want to show you something. I have a 15-year-old. She right here, right now.
Hmm.
Uh, just walked in from school. She just started high school. Um, I'm so blessed because she's wise beyond her years. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? So I'm just blessed that I don't have to deal with too much of that boy crazy stuff right now. I don't know when I will
Yes.
deal with it, but I'm not dealing with it now. let
And
me
now is what matters.
let me knock on wood. All right. I want to show you something that I came across
Hmm.
on my Facebook page, and she gets upset because this right now in this moment it's reminding me what I'm doing right now. It's reminding me of what I'm about to show you because she loves to talk to me when she comes from school, but right now I'm doing the show. So, but I'm gonna get my talk in. I got to get my talk in with my baby.
Hmm.
Um, but she gets frustrated because she be having so much to say. So I would just go through these slides. It. Can you see it?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is. I think this is where trauma kind of begins. With your parents, sometime. Um,
Hmm.
even if you experience trauma with someone else, and then you might tell your parents, and they like, oh, you not, they shrug you off. But anyway, this one says my parent. Well, let me show you what it looked like exactly because it's a bunch of little sticky notes.
Hmm.
Okay. So this one says, if I ran away, my parents would know. They don't say goodnight anymore. And this is from a 6-year old.
Hmm.
And this is something that a therapist shared that some of her clients wrote.
Hmm.
And, this one says, I feel like a bad kid when I make a mistake, usually
Hmm.
because my parents think I did it on purpose, a 7-year old.
Hmm.
And my mom says in a minute, and hours go by. This is why I yell and demand she forgets me, 16-year-old. Now, this one right here, right, like
But that's
I'm in
but
this
she was
moment.
probably that 6 or 9 year old at one point, and now that she's 16, that's where it is.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. Um, she said these are from different children, but I could see what you're saying. Yes.
Hmm.
It
No,
developed.
what I mean is that 16-year old once felt like that 6 or 9 year old. So by the time the 6 year old is 16, she might feel like the now 16-year old. It
Right.
does accumulate over time. And unfortunately, I think parents get caught up in their own lives,
Mm-hmm.
and it's no excuse for it. It's just many. excuses that they can justify called reason. But
Mhm.
if you don't make time to let them know what's going on,
Mhm.
then they won't know what's going on. But unfortunately, if it keeps going at that rate, they're going to be the product of what we're talking about now.
Mhm.
They're going to need some healing. They're going to need to have a change of mindset because the the outlook that they're going to take on people in life is going to stem from how they're treated at home.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's going to cause them to walk around with things that people aren't going to want to deal with.
Mhm. Mhm. And I don't really want to focus on children too much,
Mhm.
but we have to because
They
our
grow up to be the adults that we're talking about.
exactly, and the trauma usually happens at a very young age,
Hmm.
And one thing that I always said, you know, and this was my way of trying to heal, but it was a step, but it wasn't like the full, scope of my healing. But
Hmm.
I usually always say not to allow one moment in time to dictate the rest of my life,
Hmm.
because it'll be that one moment in time where you feel unwanted, unloved, ignored, disappointed. Um, all kind of things can happen in a moment of time.
Hmm.
Used, essayed. I want to say essay because I don't want to say the word or grape. I'm gonna say grape. Take the G off, and
Hmm.
so I know people who maybe be almost 100 years old, still talking about something that happened to them when they were like 4 or 5
Hmm.
years old, and I'm like, okay, when are you gonna not let that define you? When are you gonna
Right.
let that go? Why is
Yes.
it still something, a topic of discussion? It's like, let it go. That does not define who you are.
Hmm.
It was a moment in time. What do you think about that?
A lot of people, unfortunately, live in the past. That's why they can't enjoy the present nor see the future. Um, it's many a reason to different people because trauma only means as much to the person that it happened to. Your trauma may not be a trauma to me. My trauma may not have been trauma to someone else. It is to what it means to us.
Mm-hmm.
And for that reason, I do believe that when trauma is not dealt with appropriately,
Mm-hmm.
and there is an appropriate way, but because w- people live with different mindsets, they can set out to think that they handled it properly, and yet that child will still live in the past of pain and will walk with it. And um, as a parent, I claim that brokenness, but as I've changed and elevated and have grown, I understand.
Right, right, right.
And so it's because I lived in pain, I lived in hurt and anger. And so I understand, but I didn't want to be a person who continued to live like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was up to me to
Mm-hmm.
do my healing process, to do the work in me.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Yes, as a life coach, right? What exactly does that mean? Like, you help people get over the trauma, or you help
no,
a better life? Like, can you give me a
no,
more?
for what it, actually, we're just guides. We're
Mm-hmm.
someone there that can walk you through something. So if your trauma was your issue, or they have financial coaches, they help you to, balance your books and get you set on a better money management scale. Um, so it's just for whatever area that you feel you need help on. It's not, we don't tell you what to do. It's just a guide,
Mm-hmm.
asking you things like, what is it in your life now in the position where you are? What is it that you would like to change?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. How do you think you can get to that change? It's just literally, you'll give the advice as they answer. It's
Mm,
not just question after question after question. Because when you come to a life coach, you're looking for the advice, you're looking for the answers,
mm,
you're looking for some help. But it's not where, oh, well, what you have to do is, no, it's not like that. It's just you aligning, helping them to align with where they want to go with themselves, with
mm,
work, with, wherever they want to go.
mm,
And that's pretty much what life coaches are, is a guide.
okay, okay, that makes sense. And everybody needs somebody to guide them. Like having a best friend. One of my side hustles is I braid hair, and I do natural hairstyles. So typically, as a hairdresser or whatnot, people like to talk to me about whatever they're dealing with, in their life. And it's also like kind of similar, and I'm not putting you in the same category as these people, but
Hmm.
also, like a bartender, they always go to a bartender or something to talk or whatever.
Hmm.
And so what advice would you give for people that's in those jobs and really don't have the answers that these people seek? Because I don't be having the answers. I just be an ear to listen to.
Right. Honestly, most people will give you the advice of their life. Um, Meaning it could be the advice they wish they had. But what I notice with a lot of brokenness is that they're the people that come with judgment. They can fix your problem, but can't fix their own. And so they will give you the advice of their life, like what they went through and how things, and what they did. And it's not always the safest, not even from family. It's not, because if you're taking this problem to some bitter family member, you're surely not going to get what you're looking for. So it is still being mindful at who you choose to get advice from.
I'm sorry. Um, I really, really, really appreciate this, sister, and I really appreciate you coming on here, right? And the
Hmm.
other day we was chopping it up. I couldn't even get off the phone with you. I was so intrigued. I was like, "How I'm gonna do this?" Okay, just come to my show. Come to my show. Let's finish the conversation, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I want y'all to really delve in and listen to the sister because she's finna take you to the journey of healing. And so I was so enlightened by you. Um, and you corrected me on a couple of things, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I was like, oh, you know what? I never thought of it that way. And I'm just so intrigued, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Especially when we were talking about the masculine and the feminine. That comes up a lot in my shows because
Hmm.
we gotta get to the meat and the potatoes, and we got to get these people off the milk, right?
Right.
So when you were saying that when a female a grown female is raising children in her masculine energy, a child can come out a certain way. And if a
Hmm.
female is raising a child in her feminine energy, it can also come out a certain way. Can you elaborate
Yes.
on that? I didn't want to give it all. I want you to tell everybody what you were saying about that.
Okay. Through experiences, some men I know who were raised with feminine energy women, meaning they dressed up, they wore the heels, their attitude, they were the ladylike, they weren't the, I don't want to offend it, but it wasn't, um, I want to say street, maybe. Some people refer to it as maybe hood or, but they weren't that type. They didn't do a lot of yelling. They were always in their feminine energy. And so the young boys and girls in that home would be in feminine energy. But the man can be true all male, but he may have his tone may sound a little feminine. And I know men like that. And that's because they said they were raised with a house full of women. grandma, aunt, mother, sisters, you know. So, but when that woman who is in her masculine, she's the protector. Like if she's that single mom that maybe she's got to be hard because nobody's going to walk all over me or, harm me. I got to protect my kids, or even if it's from where she came from, you know, even myself from that type of life growing up, I had a angry demeanor, and so I was in my masculine energy a lot. I'm protecting my kids. I don't care who you are, so that also can put the girls in masculine energy. It can also put the boys in a, what you call it, pseudo masculine. So it's like it can make it worse to where he's got a lot of aggression. And that's the difference a lot of times when we're dealing with masculine energy with women versus that feminine energy.
Right, right, right. Um, so is it safe to say that women sometimes, if they're living in that masculine, I think it's pseudo masculine. That's just my personal opinion.
Hmm.
Um, is it safe to say that some women who's raising young boys in that, I'm gonna say, pseudo masculine energy,
Hmm.
um, can be the reason for toxic masculinity?
Yes. Yes, because I believe in hindsight it starts deeper than I think, where the word of generational curse of brokenness is, it's a generational thing. So if grandma was one way and there was no outside source or any other mind of difference for the better, then grandma's going to have a broken child, then she's going to have broken children, then they're going to have broken children. If there is no outside source of difference of mindset for the better. If you get, what I'm trying to say, that in a way of saying it, but being respectful, because again, I don't want anyone to feel that this is about disrespect. It's not. It just is what it is.
Right, right, right.
So just to call it for what it is,
Mm,
even though a lot of people may not believe it. I do know a lot of older women, older generation, that would just not admit that they've passed down some wrong information to their kids in their upbringing. Granted, in that moment you were doing what you thought was best, there's nothing wrong with that, but at some point come to a realization to admit it was not correct. That's, and I did it. I've always been that person to turn that mirror on me. And I did it with my kids. Hey, look, I gave y'all some stuff that wasn't all the way correct. But now that I know better, let me help you fix it.
mhm, mhm,
And so that goes a long way,
mhm,
because it also lets them know, for a lot of women out there that feel like, what is wrong with me? Why don't this person like me? Or why is this? Why is that?
mhm,
Because the mindset of what you believe and how you believe, everything starts with a thought. We think first and then we feel.
mhm,
And so once you think something, there's your belief to feel it.
mhm,
And I just tell my kids, and if there's anybody out there that is honest and truly relating, be honest with yourself to know that it's okay. Step out of your own way. Do yourself some good to learn who you are, to begin to love you, and true happiness dwell within you, and live in a better way. And I say better because I know a lot of people say, I do what works for me.
mhm,
But what works for you, and I don't mean this to say like, if you said to me, I live my life doing what works for me. I'm not trying to say this to where you don't know what worked for you, but from the experience of what I've heard from people who say it, and I know them personally, they're
mhm,
not happy. They
mhm,
always want something more deep down inside. They want something more. It's just that they don't believe they're capable of having it So they
Mm,
stay in the comfort zone of, I do what works for me.
mm. Right, right. Um, it's like a defense mechanism in a way. Like
Yes.
they're just doing what they can to get by, and
Hmm.
not really dealing with what really happened. And sometimes, like, cause my children, they always tell me I'm emotionally unavailable,
Hmm.
and I have emotion, but it's just I don't know. I've never been able to show them. Now,
Hmm.
for me, I wish I can heal from that, but I cannot pinpoint why I'm like this. You know what I'm saying? I cannot
Hmm.
pinpoint the time where it may have been a time where I had to just suck it up. And I don't remember. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It could have happened so long ago. So, how do people deal with trauma if they can't pinpoint where the trauma came from?
You don't have to.
Mm,
It's almost as if you're lost. You
mm,
may not remember the exact point of turn, how you ended up being lost, but you're
mm,
lost. So
mm,
your goal is now go from where I am to try to get out of here.
mm,
It doesn't really matter where you lost it. It's
mm,
the fact that you're aware that you don't have it. And now how can I get it? How can
mm,
I get there? You're unemotion you're e- you're unavailable emotionally. So how do I come emotionally available?
mm,
And a lot of times it starts with just emotional discipline.
mm,
Go within you to feel you.
mm,
Feel who you are. Feel where you've been. It's like facing that fire.
mm,
I'm here. I know you're hot and I'm not going to walk through you, but I'm going to stand in the face of you. I'm
mm,
not afraid of you.
mm,
And let me feel where I am,
mm,
because it could be a damage to them.
mm,
Because if you're not available emotionally, they may not know how to speak where they need to in communication, where
mm,
they need to in their relationships to have a healthy relationship, because communication is just not talking.
mm,
Communication is also knowing how to be clear. It's knowing how to say exactly what you need to say
mm,
with that emotional discipline to guide it. I may be hurt, but I don't have to cry because I'm hurt. I may be angry, but I don't have to yell because I'm angry.
right.
And so it's just knowing how to sit clear
Mm,
and communicate what is wrong. What do you need? What are you looking for?
mm,
But it takes, because every emotion is an emotion, not even having one, that's an emotion as well. So it does take an emotion to be in position to say what you need to say. It's
mm,
just that when you're emotionally disciplined, you won't show it. So
mm,
I can be sad and talk to you, but I don't have to cry to show sadness.
right.
I can be angry and not yell at you or have my face balled up.
Mm,
It's just knowing how to. So you really don't need to know where you lost it. Just knowing that you're aware that you don't have it
mm,
is your strength to find it for the sake of your children.
mm. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Lots and lots and lots of sense. So with because I'm still trying. I feel like I'm emotionally mature. I just don't have them. I'm just emotionally unavailable.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Um, and I guess because like I think I told you before, I've been in survivor mode for so long, and I'm not. I don't think that it's a masculine trait. I just think that it's just a human trait to be a survivor, and trying to hustle and
survive. But now I don't have to be in that mud. But now
Hmm.
I don't have to be there no more. But it's taken so long for me to move out of that mode.
Yeah,
What?
it's almost like still swimming when you're not in the water and won't take off the life jacket.
Right. So, what would you say for a person that's dealing with that, and how do they take off the life jacket?
Just do it, because at some point the mind will talk you in, it will talk you out.
Mm,
Just do it. Anything, whether anxious, nervous, afraid, do it anyway.
mm,
Because the one thing is for sure, you'll never know if you don't.
mm. Okay. Okay. Give me.
Dare to be brave.
Can't talk right now. Sorry, that's my phone. um, so, any final thoughts or any other things you want to touch?
um, yes, as far as accountability, I say to anyone, if you are in a toxic relationship,
Mm,
for every one finger that you can point at someone, you have three that come back to you. Look at yourself.
mm,
Look at the choices you are making. Find out what it is about this person that you are willing to hold on to and go through for what. And this is man or woman.
mm,
Your life will only be what you allow it to be.
mm,
No one can do to you what you don't allow them to. And
mm,
for those people who are hurting someone, just because you can does not mean you should.
mm,
Everything that we do in this lifetime has a way of catching up to us.
karma. Karma is a.
Or
Uh,
that, or reaping what you sow.
mm-hmm,
Um, Karmas of the universe,
mm,
reaping what you sow is from Jesus. And I disrespect no one's religion. So whatever that means for, Buddhists or Allah or Muslims, and whoever have you, it is coming back for you. And just know that you are the controller. You are in the driver's seat of your life. It is your choice. Acknowledge who you are, acknowledge you're human and make mistakes. But if you want something better, it starts with you.
amen to that. Before we go, let me finish looking through. Girl, turn my light back on. She just be doing. She just be doing. My baby girl. Turning my light off. She doing that to get my attention, I know. Um, but I'm about to get to her in a minute. Okay, so the next one. I love my mom and dad even when they yell at me. I always love them. I wish I knew that they love me as much. 10-year-old.
Mm.
My parents are always busy or on their phone. Why am I here? It makes me want to leave. A 9-year-old. When I annoy my mom, it is because I want her attention. I don't get it any other way. 13-year-old. Oh, this is deep.
Yes, it is.
Lying to me when I ask if you are okay makes me not trust myself. I am connected to you. A 15-year-old. Now this 15-year-old, that one is what? What you know about it, 15-year-old?
Hmm.
Deep. My dog gets more attention. Dad said it is because the dog can't talk. So I stopped talking. Ain't that
Oh,
crazy?
wow. Yeah. And, all these, unfortunately, if not corrected in a proper manner,
Mm,
can lead to some very heavy emotional people.
mm-hmm.
It's
Yes.
going to be some issues.
Yeah, you'll have those very introverted people who feel like no one would listen anyway.
Or angry. They can be extroverted as well. They can be the people that will lash out because they feel unheard. They felt unloved. They could be the ones that turn to anybody that will show them attention and love. You know, it happens more times than not for those reasons. And it's a lot that can be said, but ultimately, they're different scenarios and different reasons.
Hmm. Yeah, it's definitely different because I'm sure, right? Um, when it comes to bullying, right, when
Hmm.
people are just childhood memories,
Hmm.
I want people tend to remember the most horrific times for the most part, not all the time, because some people they like it was so traumatizing that they just stuff it in their subconscious mind and just choose to just pretend it never happened.
Hmm.
So it can go either way. Um, it'd be it to adults because I'm an adult now, but
Hmm.
I do think back every time I do with my children. I think back to when I was a child. And it used to be so scary to be a child that was probably no taller than 2 feet, 3 feet tall, to have an adult towering over me, screaming and yelling. That was so terrifying to me. And I would just pee my pants like I didn't know what to do,
Hmm.
you know. And I had both sides of the spectrum because I had that, and then I had my father who would sit me down and say, "Hey, let's talk about this."
Hmm.
And I guess that's where my emotional maturity come from because he was always a talker. He like, "Let's
Hmm.
talk about this. Do you understand what you did? Let me let you know how that made me, feel. He did that stuff. But let me go on with these cards because it's bringing up memories for me.
Hmm.
Telling me that you are disappointed in me kills me. I didn't do what I did to hurt you. I was just learning. A 13-year-old.
Mm.
This one, I wish I was as important as their phone. A 6-year-old.
Wow.
These cell phones, boy, and I've been telling people like the other day, and this is so off topic, but I was telling people, turn your phones off October 4th. They're gonna do this thing or whatever, and people dang near took my head off, and I'm like, and it was a social experiment for me when I posted it on Facebook, just to see, what the response would be.
Hmm.
And I'm like, y'all so glued to y'all phones that y'all can't turn them off for an hour?
Right.
Like, is this for real?
Hmm.
This is the world we live in. And this world we live in is very new. It's very new. It's not like we've been having cell phones our whole lives, especially us in our 40s.
Right.
Now our children maybe. But no.
But the crazy thing is, they can actually be treated the same. We weren't able when we didn't have them. If you call, it just rang if wasn't nobody home. Well, guess what? If you're busy, let it ring.
Exactly.
It has a voicemail, just like we had, the um, recorders back in the day. So you had to leave a message, or you just keep calling until somebody answers. Just
Right.
because a person leaves you 1,000 voicemails, sends you a million texts, doesn't mean you have to acknowledge it or respond.
Right. You know,
Especially if you can clearly see by the message it's not a 911.
yeah, what grinds my gears, if I don't answer the first call, they'll call right back, then they'll call right back. And I'm like, obviously I cannot get to my phone right now. Like,
Hmm.
I'm I don't get it. So people think that because you have a cell phone that they're in your pocket and you should answer that mug. And they get mad if you don't answer it.
My pet peeve with cell phones is this. If I text you to say, "Hello, how are you doing today?" and you text back, and now it takes me 2 hours and 35 minutes to text you back. That bothers me because I feel if you don't have the time to communicate,
Mm,
don't. Because I made time to respond back. My time is just as valuable.
mm,
I feel like if you cannot, that's like if I have a 10-minute break, I may not decide to want to conversate, but instead, hey, just shooting you a message, get with you later, just to let you know, or I'm going to call you when I get off. That's different. That's not anything that requires a response.
mm,
But to text someone, ask them how they're doing, that requires a response. So
mm.
then when they respond, I go silent. Oh, that bothers me right there. That's
Well,
my thing.
well, my thing is like, well, I haven't been like in the office in a long time, but in the office, if somebody texts me how you doing, and I'm in the office, I totally do not look at my phone, especially if it's like grind time and we got to get like some paperwork out or whatever, and I'm on a deadline. I typically will not look at my phone until either my task is done or I'm on my break. So
Right. But you said you didn't look, so therefore you're not responding. I'm talking about when you respond and then they don't say it's like, okay, so you sit down to prepare. Your phone goes off, you get a message. Okay, I haven't started. Let me respond. Then nothing. My point, for me, why did you even send it if you're not in position to communicate?
I would think that they. Here we go. Another call. Anyways, I don't know about that one. I
Yeah.
would that
No,
probably
I'm just saying that's one of my pet peeves with the telephone.
right. So
Hmm.
let me just get through these little slides, and then we're gonna round it up. We're at the hour mark. Yesterday we did a 2 hour show, which kind of drained me a little bit. Uh, my mom is too busy. She says, but she texts her friends all day. Why not tell me the truth? She is just avoiding me, a 9 year old.
Mm,
And then I think if I ran away, my parents wouldn't know. They don't say goodnight anymore. I think I read that one already. A 6 year old.
mhm,
Let me see if I went through all of them.
mhm.
Okay, I think I read these already. Okay, we went through them
Yes,
all.
ma'am.
Yeah, we read them
Mhm,
all. Okay, so I'd like to thank Miss T. Lachey for dropping by and sharing how to get to internal healing and taking accountability. Basically, you got to just do the work, you know what I'm saying? Understand where you are, and then you might want to hit up Miss T. Lachey. Is there any place that you want the people to come to see you or social media links or anything like that?
At this current moment, I don't. I'm not on social media, but soon I will be on Instagram.
Okay. So
So
we will
you will
definitely,
be the first to know.
yeah, we would definitely have you back. She is in the process of writing a book. So you guys look forward to that. And we will have her back so that we can continue on this healing journey. And is there any final thoughts before I end it?
It was just basically pretty much what I've already said. If you're looking at your life, you're not happy, it's only you that can fix it. And what are you willing to do? The work starts with you.
And start.
Ultimately, no matter what guide you use, whether it be a Bible, a Quran, a life coach, it doesn't matter. It starts and ends with you. You are the controller of your life. Love yourself enough to go within and make proper changes that you need to make so you can push forward in life and become who you were created to be.
And I'm Meika Wash. This is Mouth Off with Meika. Shout out to Paradigm Shift. You guys tune in to Paradigm Shift. He's doing a show with Mike KL right now. Also, tune into the whole effing show. And we are out of here. And shout out to the two Craigs and DMG. All right.
Show who you are. Good Brit is you kidding? Bid the forbidden. As it was written, you overbidding. With the heathens, karma is a bitch, so how you living? Pray for my enemies, I'm forgiving. Cast the pearls on hog moms and chitlin'. If it's too hot, get your ass out the kitchen. Finger licking good, good looking. Stewing in the stew, I'm cooking. You psyched out, paranoid and shookin'. Shook the table, fades I'm booking. Get prepared for this ass whooping. Listen to the words being spoken. You were talking, I'm awake and woken. While I'm spitting this, got your spit, got choking. Era up, a glimpse in my world, eyes shut open. Parallel in my mind, I'm chosen. Reverse the time, heart frozen. Antarctica, cold as ice. Casted lots, rolling dice. Mean as nails, I'm nothing nice. They persecuted me like they rejected Christ.